Well, it's definitely apple harvest time. Local orchards are in full swing, and we're thinking pies, apple crisp, apple fritters. And I'm back here with Chef Barbara Mojan-Gugnoni. You are going to make an apple cake, apple surprise cake. Is that what it is?
Yes, there's
I
surprises
love the
in
sound
the
of
middle.
that.
Yes.
Let me guess. What is the surprise?
Maybe apples. Yeah.
Well, how do we get going here? Because this looks fabulous.
Well, what we have, we're making a cake. It's somewhat like a coffee cake, but it's also a lot like a donut. So it's
like those apple cider donuts that you get this time of year?
Exactly.
Great.
So what we have here is we have sugar and butter and vegetable shortening. Now, normally I would use only butter for something like this, but the vegetable shortening actually keeps a lot of moisture in the cake.
Okay.
So that's why we did half and half. We have creamed that with one egg. We're going to put another egg in and cream that up, and then we're going to alternately add our dry ingredients and our wet.
Okay.
Now, this is milk and sour cream. Basically, for this cake, you can use any dairy you want. Milk,
great.
sour cream, plain yogurt.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, anything will work. I like the sour cream in it because it gives it a little tang. So we're just going to do that. And if you want, you can add a little bit of the flour.
Sure, I'll try
like.
and not get you too messy here.
Yeah, that's all right. The cloud. That's fine.
What am I doing wrong here?
No, you're not doing anything wrong. You can add a little
The way
milk
it
now
is.
if you want. That'll
Okay.
keep
The cloud down?
the cloud down. Yeah.
I'm quite helpful, aren't I?
You really are. And this is all it is. You just add it alternately, flour and milk, until you have a nice smooth batter.
Okay.
This batter is really nice. It has freshly grated nutmeg in it.
Oh, I could smell it actually.
Yeah, and there's no cinnamon in the batter. We'll do that on the topping, but the nutmeg in the batter is very nice with the apples.
All right.
Now, when you're baking with apples, you have to take care to use the right kind of apples.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Does it matter if you...
It does matter. Things like, we all love to eat Macintosh apples. They're delicious, but they're going to fall apart when you're baking, which is one of the reasons you use those for, say, applesauce.
Oh, okay.
But when baking, you want your apples to hold together. So you want to use something like a Granny Smith. You could use a Golden Delicious, possibly, but a Granny Smith or a Cameo would hold up even better. And
All
keep
right.
the slices basically looking like a slice of apple once everything is baked.
And what are you using today?
I'm using Granny Smith apples today,
Okay.
and those have been pre-cooked in a little bit of butter and brown sugar and cinnamon, just to soften them up before we put them in the cake to make sure they're fully cooked by the time we're done baking the cake.
Okay.
Because this cake doesn't bake for that long. It bakes maybe 35 to 45 minutes, and your apples would maybe not be 100% tender if you didn't pre-cook them a little bit.
Got it. And then what do you have the oven preheated at?
The oven is at 375. What we do is we start it at 375.
Okay.
And then we back it down to 350 about halfway through,
Oh,
so that
okay.
the cake doesn't brown too much while you're trying to make sure you get it fully cooked.
All right.
Okay. So then we're going to put half the batter in that bowl.
Which you've kind of buttered and
pan.
what did
Yes.
flour?
It's a
sugar?
springform pan, and I buttered it, and then I put a mixture of sugar and cinnamon on the pan.
great.
Instead of putting flour, you're adding more flavor this way.
And it won't stick.
And it'll help your cake rise up the sides of the pan, and it won't stick when you try and take it apart. So it's very helpful.
Do you make this
that-
every fall, Barbara?
I do. I love it.
I bet everyone looks forward to it.
I love it. And now this recipe batter makes a little bit too much batter for an 8-inch springform pan. So you can do one of two things.
Okay.
If you have a 9-inch, use a 9-inch. But if not, take the extra batter and make 2 or 3 muffins, because this
Oh,
makes
that's a
a
great
really
idea.
nice muffin too. So with the apples, what you want to do is you want to lay them out in a pretty pattern. So you put them in like a rounding concentric circle all the way around your pan.
Oh, okay.
And once you've done
This is the
that,
surprise.
There's your surprise. When you cut into it, you see your slice of apple, and you get these beautiful slices that each have a slice of apple on them. And once you're all done with putting your apples in, you would put the rest of the batter on, smooth it over the top, and pop it in the oven.
Got it.
And you just want to cook it until a toothpick comes out totally clean.
Okay.
And when it's all done, you leave it in the pan for about 5 minutes, and then you pop your spring.
It'll come off
It'll
because
come
you
off.
buttered it.
It will. It will come off. And then you will let it sit for, not long, maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And then you will put your melted butter and cinnamon and sugar all over it.
Right on top of it.
Right on top of you. And you want to do this a lot, because that's the best part. So you can do it 2 and 3 times. Do it once, let it sit for 5 minutes, go back, do it again.
Oh, great.
Just keep doing it. and you'll get this crunchy cinnamon and sugar coating on top of your cake.
I think we can
which
see
is
that in
what
the
we
finished
have
one over
there.
here, right?
That's right. It's all done.
Does it need any more butter and sugar
I think
on
it might have to have some.
All right, let's do that then.
Because you
Oh,
can
it
never,
smells
ever
just
do
wonderful.
too much.
And you just kind of pat it on here?
You do. You just sort of pat it on, paste it, paint it on the top, paint it on the sides, whatever you want.
Uh-oh, is the sugar going to come off?
No, it's fine.
We're just going to keep
You're
layering
just going
it?
to keep layering it, so it doesn't matter if it comes off.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, this is fabulous. I feel like people will be impressed if you bring this to a party, too.
Well, you know, the nice thing about this is it can be so many different things. It can be a morning coffee cake. It can be an afternoon snack when the kids come home from school. Or it can be a dinner dessert. You put this out on a plate with a scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Oh, it's fabulous,
and some
right?
caramel sauce, and you serve it with some hot cider that's been spiked with a little Grand Marnier or something.
It's like the perfect fall dessert.
It is the perfect fall dessert.
Barbara, this is great. We are going to dig into this at the end of the show.
Good.
The recipe will be up on WTNH.com, and it smells great in here.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming and being here. Now to an interesting story. We all do it. We open the fridge and wonder if the food past its prime is still safe to eat. ABC's Cecilia Vega